shed more light on the latest developments in Gaza. We are joined by Ambassador Medhat Meleegy. Mr. Ambassador, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Ambassador, thousands of Palestinians have returned to the heavily destroyed northern Gaza Strip. In the meantime, there are reports of hundreds of thousands of Israelis leaving the Hebrew states. How do you see these reports, and to what extent such reports reflect the situation after 15 months of Israeli genocide war?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your last sentence.
How do you see the reports about more than 500,000 Israelis leaving Israel? At the same time, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are coming home, going, as we saw in television, heading to the north again. How do you see that, and what does that reflect?
Well, actually, I mean, I think this is a very important thing that what we've seen right now. I mean, ever since this war erupted 15 months ago, and we are learning new lessons every day and seeing new things that has to be bear in mind when we are considering the whole situation, especially that the aim at the end is to reach a Palestinian state, a Palestinian independent state on the borders of the 4th of June 1967. What I want to say here is that I think seeing the sea of people that are going back to the ruins of what used to be northern Gaza shows the international community how Palestinians are attached to their land. And this is something that is a characteristic of the Palestinian people. I mean, although the aggression was very fierce, none of them left its place. Some people at the beginning thought that the Palestinians are going to flee their country and try to cross the border towards Egypt or towards anywhere else where they could find security. But they remained satisfied to their land and insisting that they are not going to leave. And this is actually what we heard once again from all the Palestinian fractions, whether we are talking about the Palestinian Authority or the resistance movement such as Jihad or Hamas. Everybody said that we are not leaving. On the other side, I think what we are seeing, I'm not taking any conclusion out of myself, but what we are seeing is that many Israelis are fleeing the country because as long as the country does not provide them with what they want, security-wise or maybe economically speaking or anything of the sort, they just leave the country to go somewhere else where they could find a better life. For the Palestinian, as we see right now on your screen, the Palestinians are going back to the ruins, as I said. There is nothing left in northern Gaza. Everybody knows that, but they are going there because it's their land. And this shows us and teaches all of us what does it mean to be resilient, to be clinging to your land and not to leave your right until you achieve the goal that you sworn to do.
How do you see Egyptian role in delivering humanitarian aid to the Strip and, reaching a ceasefire, and how far this ceasefire can hold?
Well, in what's concerning the Egyptian efforts, I mean, everybody knows how Egypt have worked from the first day to try to reduce the atrocities on the Palestinian people. However, we were only successful after a real pressure was exerted from President-elect at the time, Donald Trump, who actually forced Israel to sign an agreement that the extreme right government didn't want to sign it. But Egypt's plan was there since last year, and they just didn't want to take it because Israel have, from the beginning we said that they have 3 goals, and unfortunately they couldn't achieve any of them. The first one is the total eradication of Hamas movement and all resistance movements in Gaza. The second one is to liquidate the Palestinian cause. And the third one is to make life in Gaza inhabitable so that the people would voluntarily, between brackets, leave the place. And unfortunately, they failed to do any of this, including, of course, the release by force of the Israeli hostages. So they couldn't do any of this, and that's why they continue to do the atrocities and the war crimes that they are committing. But Egypt, once after once after once, we insisted on reaching an agreement, and finally, the agreement that we crafted from the beginning was the one that was on the table and that the Israelis have accepted. If we are talking about the future of this, President Sisi was very clear at the beginning when he said that the most important thing is to reach a peace between the two parties that enables the creation of a Palestinian state on the borders of 1967 with East Jerusalem as capital of the new Palestinian state. I think that this summarized everything, and everybody has to understand, especially the new administration in the United States, they have to understand that as long as there is an occupation, we will have resistance. This is how things work. This has always been what we've seen throughout history. As long as there is an occupation, there will be a resistance to this occupation, and the Palestinians will not stop before they achieve their goal.
Ambassador Medhat Meleegy, thanks for being with us. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break.